In this video today, I'm going to walk you through setting up your 3D game as time efficiently as possible. So I'm in a new 3D scene right here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on to the assignment page for this, which is 3D exploration game scene creation. I'm going to click this link, which I've already done, and I'm going to download the 3D game package. In fact, you can just open it, and then it should automatically load. Yes. So it's going to do this. It's going to import all of the assets you will need for your exploration game. Just click import. It's going to go ahead and do that, and you'll have all the stuff you need. So there are going to be a lot of assets here, some of which we won't actually use, but we have everything we need, and that's all that's important. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and create a terrain, which is a 3D object. That puts a flat surface here. It has no texture right now, hence the checkerboard. Let's go over to the inspector and click on Paint Terrain, and then select this little bar below it, and we're going to go to Paint Texture. So we are going to add a texture to this whole thing. We're going to click Edit Terrain Layers and then Create Layer. Let's see if we can find some suitable grass texture. Ah, here's one. And it's automatically added to the entire terrain. Okay, so that works. Next, let's go ahead and create some hills. I'm going to go back here and then I'll click Raise or Lower Terrain. This can be tricky. And depending on your brush size, you could get a lot of hills in a short time. So I just clicked once to form that hill. I can decrease the brush size to form smaller hills. You do have to be a little bit careful though, because sometimes it can end up being triangular. Okay, so we can obviously get to really large sizes. I'll try selecting another brush. Maybe this one, maybe that one. So look at that. If you hold it down for too long, the more you hold it down, the taller you create the hills. So you can try mixing and matching, creating different hills. Looks more like a canyon now. Actually, no, it doesn't. A little pointy, but that's okay. I'll go to smooth height and see what I can do here. It shrinks it down and make them less pointy. So we can smooth the height of some of these hills. And if we want to make them smaller, we can hold down Shift. I'm not doing that yet, but hold down Shift and then click. I'm just looking around. Okay, maybe I'll go back to smooth height. That does shrink them too, but its main purpose of making them less pointy. More smooth. It works on the sides too, actually. So these hills look pretty good. Okay, I think you get the idea. So create some hills of different heights, smooth them out if necessary to make them look a little bit more natural. And now we can paint some textures on these hills. But I have to go back to this button, Edit Terrain Layers and Create Layer. And I'm going to get a hill texture. I'll do this grass rock thing. If I just click and drag over it, I have to actually select the texture first. Okay, now we can see it. We can see slowly but surely the textures are being painted over these hills. Because we don't want them to have the same texture as the grass. And then what I would have to do is rotate the whole thing to paint the other side of the hills. I mean, we can actually have some grassy hills if we want to, but for this, I'm not going to. Okay, that looks pretty good. I created some hills, I painted the texture, and we would do that in several places around our map. Okay, let's go ahead and plant some trees. So these buttons have a lot of what we need right here. Here is paint trees. I'm going to go to edit trees because I do have to add a tree in here to use. And now I'm going to click right here. And there are trees available to us in this package. Here are some. Could add this one. There are more though. Aha. The conifer tree. Add. Now we can paint them like, oh boy. We can paint them like that. I'm gonna Control Z that. Or what I prefer to do is mass place trees. Just plant 10,000 trees. Randomly throughout my map. Okay, it's slowing down on me, so I'm going to undo that. You know what? I'll just do 1,000. Okay, and now we have trees at random places on our map. Computer's having a tough time recording this at the same time. So maybe I will just undo that. But that's how you do it. Whoops. Now that I look at my hills, they're really small. I mean, you saw the size of the trees compared to the hills. So, anyway, as you can see, there isn't much to the sky right now. So let's add one. We're going to add what's called a skybox. That is, a large box that surrounds the world that features the sky. To do this, we're going to go up to Window, and then Rendering, and Lighting Settings. It shouldn't look like this. Here we go. We're going to go down to where we can find the skybox option. It was the very first one. What do you know? Okay, so I'm going to click right here, in that little circle. And somewhere in our assets, we can find a lot of different skyboxes to choose from. I'll just choose number 5. And just like that, we can see that our sky has been created. Now, it does go all the way around, although we can't even tell it's a box. See? Kind of looks just like a dome, but it is in fact a box. However, this area, this gray area, is actually still considered the ground, like 0 on the x-axis. So we're going to add some water there. But yeah, you can choose any kind of sky you want. You can make it nighttime. You can make it fully daytime. Whatever you like. I'll go back to 5. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add some water. I can find the water by going to the Environment folder, and then going to Water, then the Water folder, and there are a couple of nice prefabs we can use. Let's drag this in there, and look at that, it animates right away. And what I can do with this is use the scale tool to enlarge it. I'm going to make it really large because it's going to surround my entire island. This is going to be a large body of water as far as the eye can see. Okay, and now I'll use the move tool to lower this water. Well, you know what? I will set it to 0 for X. And 0 for Y. And I want to go down a little bit more, since I don't want my island to be flooding. Look at that, the sky actually reflects off the water. That's pretty cool. Okay, and if we want the water to come in a little bit unevenly, we could simply drag some more in around the edges like this. And then scale it like this if we wanted to. Just scale it one way. See? That looks pretty decent. Okay. So I created some hills, although they're very small here. I added a skybox. I surrounded my island with water. I planted trees, although I undid that because the computer almost crashed. And generally just went around, or you will go around, and make your world visually appealing, a visually appealing place for your character to explore. Once we're done designing the entire level, then we'll actually implement the game part of the game.